A very good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Namaste. I'm Sukanya Dikshit, Manager Portfolio at Atal Incubation Center, Rambhau Malgi Prabodhini, which is supported by Atal Innovation Mission and Niti Aayog. And I welcome you all to yet another exciting episode of Baatcheet, which is Conversations. And this is episode number 10. Today we are discussing the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goals are a collection of 17 interlinked global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. The goals were set up in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly and are intended to be achieved by the year 2030. And the discussion today revolves very much around how startups can incorporate some of these goals into their own operations and aid to the entire concept of building back together. And today we have with us two very interesting speakers, panel members. Mr. Rajiv Gulati, he has a very diverse background, so to say. He has spent more than 35 years serving the center government, state government, and medical diagnostic imaging industry in India. He has also coordinated and implemented ecosystem for incubation facilities of UN Technology Innovation Labs until in India and has been able to set quite a benchmark there. Also, as the other panelist, we have with us one of our cohort 3 incubating startups, Ample Pack, and we have the founder, Ms. Arpita Kalanoria, who is working on a very interesting concept of reusable packaging. And Arpita, we would like to know more about it from you very soon. And with this, it's time to now get started on our discussion. And just to set the context over here, I would like to take the first question with you, Rajiv sir. So the first question for you, sir, is, today there is a lot of discussion around circular economies and all sorts of jargons thrown at us, right? Sustainable development, green economies. So very simply, in layman terms, how would you describe them? And what sort of changes do you expect to see by 2030? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, AICRMP, for bringing me to this platform where the things are to be deliberated through Baatcheet. Baatcheet is in a very interesting, what you can slogan I can say at this moment, because when you talk informally, there are very good things which come out. And those become sometimes an guiding, what you call the guiding path for everybody. And when I talk about the guiding paths, Sustainable Development Goals or the Agenda 2030, SDG 2030, whatever you call it, this is something very interesting. When you said talk about the on the layman, I would love to be on that because there are a lot many literature available, but to understand it through the layman, how I understood it and how I made the startups to understood this is as simple as it is. You look into your family. There is you always think when there are children, when you are family members, how to look into their welfare of that family. When you look into the welfare of the family, you look into some stages, you find, okay, if I have to achieve this stage or this is my goal, after marrying I will have no children, then my children I will make them study. You set some goals of your life,
Absolutely,
and
sir.
and those goals becomes with some indicators you start satisfying them and your family start growing in a if you keep maintaining that, if there's a clarity on that, your family grow in a right direction.
Yeah.
Similarly, when you talk about these days, if you put your children in a school, so you know there are different subjects, maybe on the science stream, maybe on the commerce stream, like there are number of verticals which you decide in which you have to put your children, you guide them to be there, so that there should be a standard pass under that. So that's why we said there are some goals. It is not a UN doesn't own that. It is in fact brought by the society, by the member countries, you can say 197 countries. They found, I mean, how the whole story on this planet, how we can make the society on this planet happy, how the different challenges on this planet can be looked into. So they collected the data. They become like an authority with their knowledge to collect it with the other knowledge gathered from the different parts of the world, different parts of their member countries. And they found and they consolidated between these 17 verticals, we call it in the 17 sustainable development goals. And they put some targets under them. There are around 200 something targets under this, 169 targets under them. So if you start achieving those, they say, okay, under this SDG 1, you have achieved this, SDG 2, you started achieving it. Now you talk about uh, the future of this, and then how the startups to be linked into that. There are a lot many studies which came. I know, I mean, the first time when I interacted with the startups and I wanted to link their innovations along with the SDGs, they were not aware of what this thing was going on. And then I started with something in way back in 2000, in November, December 2019, that there was a trillion dollar, there was a news where the $1 trillion investment is going to be under ESG.
Right.
And then when you talk about this in an investment, when I put this news before them, and the startup, they always look from where the money can come from, where we can get the investors. So
Right.
that attracted them. So this this ESG made them to make, I mean, like, what is this jargon? When you said, I mean, these are the jargons. Then they
Right.
said, okay, the startup who was working under the education, ed tech, on the fintech, on clean tech, they started aligning it along that environment, social and governance aspects. And they started understanding this and how this thing can happen. So this is in a layman. These are some guidelines. There are some what you call the verticals or thematics defined by them. And then there are some targets placed in them. And the interesting part is that India is playing a major role in this because of its population and the youth, number of youths who are active into this field also. So
Right.
that's why the whole world is looking towards India, and Niti Yog and the UNDP is driving this whole story from this central level. And then when they talk about that the data and everything should come from the district level, there are a lot many things which they have dwelled along this. And the interesting part is they have also created an SDG index, and they have mapped, and there is a live thing going on where they are. When I've shown it to the startups, look into this. You are, if you belong to the Maharashtra or you are living in Maharashtra, look into the where are the challenges within the Maharashtra, within your neighborhood. So these SDGs becomes as in a guidelines to align their things with their innovations along satisfying these SDGs. And then, of course, linking into the investments and those paths also. And overall, when you talk about this, when I was thinking about these 2 years which were spent recently, this has brought one factor very closely to these SDGs. When everybody is not only the driving force of the technology, people started thinking about society.
Right.
Along with Industry 4.0, the Society 5.0 started coming as an essential point into that. So let us keep discussing it in detail. So this is just in a layman to start this discussion for the further points also.
Absolutely, sir. I loved whatever points you brought forward, and it's interesting that governments now are also coming forward and sort of incentivizing people to work on these goals. So that I think the entire that actually fosters the entire concept of building for a better future. And along these lines, my second question to you, sir, is like, how practical do you think are these goals? And what sort of short-term and long-term actions can be taken to achieve them? So, if you have any important advice for startups, and how they can really incorporate these goals into their daily operations, it would be great to know from you.
So let us now broadly look into this. What this SDG agenda, I will say always, what this is broadly divided into is divided into three major categories. Where, when you talk about the startups, let us look into the prosperity, the prosperous economy of any country. So where their innovations can bring, when we call this now, we are approaching the digital economy. So it is the prosperous economy where the things can from the SDG can contribute into that. I'll check it at a different is a micro level again. Then the second part which comes over is when you say thriving society. If you are happy, if you are healthy, the things will automatically will approach towards the good economy. And then there is an environment, healthy environment. So broadly, you divide this whole agenda into healthy environment, thriving society, and the prosperous economy. And this is the like need of every country, every society.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
So there is nothing new we are saying about it. Only thing is we are define the path which will help you to travel in the right direction instead of going hayway. So when I talk about the prosper economy, and the top of it, there is the interesting SDG which we called an SDG 17, which talk about only about the partnerships only.
Right.
This we have seen that when we are in trouble, when we are looking for the help from everybody around us. So if the countries, if you have started, you have seen that how India helped not only the countries around it, but the people, the other countries started looking into it when they started executing the vaccine processes, the healthcare processes so fast. And then you look into the down over there, the how the startups during this pandemic had helped the healthcare and bringing the happiness, the healthy society, that the innovations which were lying in their drawers or in the labs, they came out, they started practically utilizing it because of some good policies, because of the fine or dynamism which the government brought into it and adopting it fast. So when you talk about this, you can what you call collectively put the different SDGs. They are interlinked. There is no SDG which is in alone sitting somewhere. If you talk about the healthy environment, then there is an SDG 15, SDG 14, SDG 13, or something like that. You can collectively put around that. And your thriving societies, when you talk about, you can talk about the SDG 7, 16, 1, and then the 4, the education for all, the 3, 5, and like that only. And when you talk about the economy, then you can say about the SDG 8, SDG 9, 10, 12. So these are like interlinked things, and when something is happening under one thematic, it is definitely helping the other thematic also to grow into it. Now,
Absolutely.
there wasn't a very recent study when you said about the startups and all those things. There were
Right.
two studies which came forward. One is from the UNDP also, which like collectively made that how the youth or how the entrepreneurship is coming around this, and they made, I mean, how they are contributing through maybe social impact or some their innovations. They found that there are a couple of SDGs in India or in overall where the youth contributed in a big way. And those are like SDG 4, which we talk about the quality education. Then SDG 1, this is not percentage wise, the maximum, the youth who contributed towards this, which is around 51%. And then SDG 1, where they say the no poverty, which was around 42%. Then SDG 8, 8 is for the decent work and economic growth. And then SDG 3 for good health, and SDG 9 for industry, innovation and infrastructure, and then the SDG 30. It was like from higher to the lower in the climate action. And parallelly, there was another study where the FICCI did it with some other partner towards the what you call the how the corporate are aligning themselves. And when you talk about the corporate, it is basically the innovations from the startups are going to be like fetched by them, or they aligned with their old thoughts. Those were again, if you will see, there are again 6 major SDGs under which they started working in India. Effectively, those are SDG 13 on the top on the climate, where you are now hearing about the COP26 and the other so many things around us. Then SDG 3 of the what you call the good health, 6 on the clean and water, and then 7 on the affordable and clean energy, 9 again on the innovations industry, and 17 in a big way, because the now corporates are coming forward like for the partnerships with the different agencies, and these partnerships either with the state, with the private, or with in between them, they are coming in a big way. So there is an interesting, what you call, ecosystem started developing around the SDGs.
Right.
Investors started looking when they talk about the ESGs. And recently there was in a news, I mean, the people who are helping you to invest into the equities or the shares of the company, one of the news was there's one of this type of agency, they said they are helping you through the ESG factors where you have to invest. So there is in a different path started following it. And I always say the startups, the earlier you catch this trend and align your thoughts, earlier you will do it. And then if you allow me, I will
Exactly.
give you 2 or 3 examples over there how the startups
Go ahead.
aligned this thing. Okay.
Go ahead, please.
So one of the startup in tier 2 cities, like the interesting part comes when you look into tier 2, tier 3, I mean, where these people are doing some good things, but the hand holding is required, like from the incubators like you. I mean, they come there. Then when I was working with the UN or the state government, they approach us that I had done this thing, but I don't know how to take it further. Now, how I manage it to align with the SDGs and how it has been accelerated, this is a small story behind this. This fellow, he started, he's living in a place where there are a lot many brick manufacturer, brick clean people are there. He saw that lot many ladies, the children, they are manually working on that. And he felt some sympathy with that,
Mhm.
that why these children are wasting and why these ladies are all the time, I mean, struggling with them throughout the day manually. And the outcome, demand and the outcome, there was always a challenge on that. Even the bricks are only through different seasons they are been manufactured. So he started building a machine which can automatically can create the bricks also. So but there was no nomenclature in the government if he had to sell it, if he had to take the loan also, and then he has to how to do the what you call the accelerate this innovation. So what I did is, I first sitting with the UN, the mind state way went, okay, this is that you looked into the children, you looked into the suffering of the woman. Let us look into the woman empowerment, look into the child education, that how you are saving it. I aligned this whole story along with the SDG. And then another fellow is housing for all. So I aligned it with the housing law. I created a 1 2 pager, only 2 small slides for them. I pushed it to the government. I asked them, okay, this is the people, they are working for this particular thing. You will not imagine the government was so like on the positive side, they held in aligning their nomenclatures in the MSME for that particular machine, provided him loan, and then he won the prize under the DIPP, what you call the innovation innovator of the year for housing for all. Under that, you see the tagline, and then even Prime Minister awarded him a prize for that. And now he is selling, and I place this innovation across the countries, in the African countries, and then he started selling his equipment outside. Now he is having a turnover more than about 600 to 700 crores within 3 years. So similarly, there was another invention on the water side, because water is such a basic thing. If you are not providing, and India is facing a major problem on that. Around that, though this fellow was from the marine engineering side, he came out with the idea, already existing pumps. There is a standard design which UN has provided that throughout the world, if you have to provide the hand pumps for the water, so this will be the design. So they have a uniformity in installing them. So what he did is he created some tool which retrofit into the same existing pumps, and make the what you call the water bacteria free. Is worth drinking, and it takes no power, nothing else. It just has on that technology. You pump it, you will get in a clean water. So he was struggling. He was not been able to understand. I brought him, shown this whole story, linked with the SDGs, placed it at the international platform. Another intergovernment organization, African Nation Rural Development Organization, I placed this innovation before them. The 30 countries saw that, and then they placed it at another platform. See now, then he was also won a prize through Government of India DIPP, one of the great innovations. Then recently he asked, he shared in a very good news that this innovation has been placed in one of the museums in Germany, where the best innovations are awarded and placed over there. See, my only thought of talking about along the startups, when they will start aligning in that language, SDG is becoming a next religion, next language of the world, where
Exactly.
people can understand. So let them talk their innovation into those languages, into that religion where people can understand. And there is a no shortage of funding, no shortage of investment, no
True.
shortage of even pricing. So this
I
is the
think
part.
I also read an article a few days back wherein they were talking on the waves, different waves. So few years back it was the IT wave, information
Mm.
technology was rising, and now it's the right time for sustainability startups. So this is the sustainability wave, they said, and startups who can kind of sort of address these goals are more than welcome to be supported by different governments at different levels. Thank you so much, Rajiv sir. I think these were really very great indigenous innovations that you talked about. And taking cue from that, I would like to introduce Arpita. Arpita ji has a very interesting background, and just to set the context, I would like to uh, ask her a question. So, Arpita ji, how can someone at an individual level or at a community level contribute towards sustainable development and the future? You can draw references from, the she talks a lot about the Vedic roots of sustainability. Sustainability was always there, and I think Arpita ji, over to you, and just take us through all what you
Right.
know.
Absolutely. Actually, Rajiv ji also put it so well that it's a multi-stakeholder partnership when it comes to achieving sustainability in every country and every society, right? So I actually started right at the bottom, where the consumer really is, and I put my feet, in the shoes of the consumer and understand how do we achieve sustainability really. Like today, thankfully, even with COVID coming into the picture, I think every single person has realized the value of having our planet absolutely, pollution free and living
Absolutely.
sustainably on an individual level. So this I experienced, I think, about 5-7 years ago. So I said, okay, let me try. If I want to live a low waste lifestyle, which it is obviously in much demand, everybody wants to do it. But how do you make it really possible for a lay consumer who does not have the doesn't want to make an extra effort of going out of the way, just for everyone, for the general people? How do you make it possible? So I started working on making groups of, they're close by to Bombay, that's where I live. There's a group of farmers that were providing sustainable, organic, fresh grown grains, fruits, vegetables, all the ingredients that we use at home. So I started procuring those. I made a group of friends around my area, and I made sure that those farmers can supply to us directly without packaging, without any wastage happening along the way. So I started in that way. I switched all the ingredients at home to make sure that no waste is generated along the way. Now this I could sustain for barely a year, 2 years. At the end of the day, when you are out of practice, it goes back to buying from a supermarket, buying and packaging. So that's what my experiment. I did not end there. I still buy from the same vendors as much as I can, and I think I would say my rule is 70%, that you try to achieve something which you're doing so out of the ordinary to a certain level. It's not possible to do 100%, but still I'm one spot resource for anybody who would like to get in touch with me to find out how they can switch their foods, at least, or their home products, or any kinds of things that we basically buy from a supermarket. If you want to switch to a more sustainable option, I can definitely help out with that. There are many easy ways. But I said that, on a mass level, if this has to work out, and if we want to really make it generate an impact, because Not many consumers may be able to do this on their own. And since there is a demand from both sides, both from the consumers end, there is a demand for sustainable products in sustainable packaging. And then there is there are the brands, who are, I think each and every brand in FMCG today is looking for sustainable packaging. I started off my journey from there to develop a product that could replace sustainable packaging, to replace traditional packaging with sustainable reusable metal-based packaging on the long run. And again, here I just like to add that I said everybody's taking 5 steps forward, 10 steps forward. Let me take 10 steps back and see where we really were, say about 50 years ago, or 100 years ago. How were we doing this? There were products being made. We had a very flourishing economy for thousands of years, in our country. And how did that really happen? We do have ancient foods around us. We don't realize the antiquity of a simple thing like dal chawal. We don't realize it, but it goes back many thousand years. So and this was being transported across, right? From India, we had trade with various nations. When nations did come into play much later, of course, in the last few hundred or last 2,000-3,000 years. So we had trade relations. We were transporting grains and seeds and spices. How was this happening? We did not have single-use plastic back then. So what was the trick? What is really the trick of doing this in using natural materials to package products and making it happen? And then I realized that on a consumer level, let's take one entity, the nation as an entity. Let's not look at exports for now. Okay, so in the nation, can we really have containers that could have a smaller, of course, carbon cycle? That means they move for a much lesser, transport, thing. But the idea is that how do you get the containers back, and how do you reuse the same materials over and over again to create lesser use of single-use plastic and creating less waste along the way. So, and I realized that there's a very strong connection even in our ancient Vedic texts. There are multiple texts on agriculture, like the Krishi Parashar, even the Rig Veda and the Atharva Veda. All the Veds also talk about a lifestyle that looked at nature as an ecosystem, not independently. We are, they look at animals and humans and trees and mountains. Everything is worshipped. So there was a very good logic for not getting our rivers dirty or our seas dirty or our land not using pesticides. So using that logic, I think there's a lot of, I think then you can connect it to the UN SDGs as well, right? That's what we're all looking at, to simplify our lives, to create less pollution, to create less of a carbon impact. So that is where it all began. And that here we are now actually making this possible, sustainable packaging, reusable packaging possible for a lot of, companies in India. And if you'd like to ask me, we can go forward.
Absolutely. I mean, tell us more about what you do at Amperpack exactly. Maybe just a few minutes on what has been
Right.
the journey so far, and how supportive do you think the ecosystem has been, to bringing you here. So, would love to know more, Arpita ji.
Absolutely. Yeah, from the beginning, when I started off with just an idea that I said I want to transform packaging in India, from the word go and from an idea stage where I just had a basic sample that I had gotten ready, a prototype. From I've got support. Basically, we've got support from every organization that we have confronted. Be it the Circular Economy Symposium by FICCI, or be it various other government organizations, various ministries, who've actually, with a cold call, they've actually given us, so much support, where I think there are a lot of funds also available for companies that are making an impact on a large scale. So I would say the ecosystem is absolutely right and ripe for companies that want to create an impact in the social space, especially, and I can only speak for myself, but and I've seen other companies also who've got so much support from the entire ecosystem, not to mention how we've, got the support from Atal Innovation Center at Rambagh Malgi Prabodhini. So, these are platforms, I think, that, entrepreneurs can make use of. Take an idea. It doesn't matter what stage you are at. So I'm talking about 4 years ago, starting off with just an idea. Today, we're working on products which are being in aluminum and SS. So they're containers, bottles, as well as different kinds of containers that actually move towards a brand. So I'll give you a live example to make this simpler. We're working with dairy companies, and mostly dairy, that is fresh milk, is packaged in single-use plastic, and in some cases glass bottles and plastic bottles. So we're replacing it with these smart containers which are independently serialized. So there's a QR code, and independent QR code on each and every container. The idea was that we are supplying these containers to these dairies where the milk is being filled every single day, being sent to the consumers, where and you can track the entire life cycle with our technology. You can track the entire life cycle of the container. So you know exactly when the product is being filled, when it has moved to the consumer, and after use, it has been returned, it is being sterilized, like pharma grade sterilization, and then the container goes back again into use. So apart from just creating value in terms of waste mitigation, it is also great value to the brand because they're actually going waste free. When you say you're going 90% waste free, I think it makes a large impact in today's day and age. The other really good thing that comes out of this is that the brand can connect directly with the consumer, right? So you have all your stakeholders, a multi-stakeholder partnership that gets created because there is one container that's traveling across from your brand to logistics to consumer and back. So, creating that foolproof, kind of closed loop system, that is another thing that really adds to sustainability in this particular case.
Awesome. I think you have
Right.
summed it up perfectly well, and it's very encouraging to, sort of listen to how the ecosystem is aiding all sustainable entrepreneurs. And my last question to both of you would be, how will organizations benefit from these global goals? So, what I've understood is without any doubts, they have to bring out a sort of whole sort of paradigm shift that requires maybe additional efforts and resources. So, what sort of an input-output equation do you think is at play here? I mean, is it too much? Is the cost of sustainability too much, or can it be made to sort of meet the current standards? It's open. I mean, it's a discussion. So, Rajiv
Okay,
sir, Arpita
okay.
ji, any of you?
So let me, I was just waiting and then trying to listen Arpita ji's thoughts, some is her innovation, and then how, and then that's why intentionally I didn't touch your circular economy
Right.
question. So now the things started becoming in this bath sheet slightly clear that how practically this circular economy has been understood
Right.
through the Vedic, what you call the periods, where it is in fact in the DNA of India,
Right.
and India talks about this basically. Even the government talks about it about the major three pillars of circular economy, and they talk about of sharing resources, okay, making goods yourself, and then what you call the reusing and recycling the things. Okay,
Absolutely.
this is happening even when we were child. I mean, you take look into that, you will get number of examples around this. And then how a government, if I'm not mistaken, I think in March 2021 itself only, they had got some sort of a notifications or some press release where they correlated it with the Atmanirbhar Bharat, and then how from linear to circular things can help the corporates. So when you look, I mean, how practical this sustainability, and then when you talk about the SDGs or the ESGs, yes,
Right.
there are two thoughts going on. One is saying that there is a lot of investment needed to achieve these things,
Right.
but if those investments are heavy, they will also increase the cost to consumers the moment they ethically declaring the things, that they are started using it ethically and then keeping the environment safe, working with the nature, and what you call that they are not destroying the sources. But there is another school of thought, which in a long term saying that this is going to benefit the companies, the corporates, the all those the innovations when they are the adopted fast to bring the profits to the company, the profit to the corporates also, the profit to the society also. It is if the society is healthy, the whole economy is going to be on the positive side. So the country started looking into these thoughts not only on the short term, on the long term processes where the contribution comes from what you call not from the different top can only drive this. It is from the bottom of pyramid everybody started participating. That's why Niti Yog started local. They start localizing the SDGs. They said the states are the main the holders for doing anything active over there. So the major question comes how aware our leadership at that state level is, how aware our people over the what you call the stakeholders over there. And that's why even the UN started working with the youth. See, you remember like when there was an ad which says that if your child says that I have to bring this color of the car, your papa and mummy can't say no to it. So it is the child driven couple of things. And when you sensitize the academia, the students towards this, and you must have seen this impact started building within the houses, within those culture where the circulation you are not wasting the things, you are utilizing the things, and you know how to live in the minimum possible things also during these 2 periods. So practically people have seen if we will have to live in this nature, you have to live on this planet, we have to really love it to save it. And recently UNDP also they have there's a beautiful video which is coming up. You must have seen recently they have put it in the UN house. The dinosaur comes and it tells don't get extinguished. I mean, I got
Right.
extinguished because of the asteroid, and now you have got no right to invest in the extinguishing thoughts also. So there are people started got sensitizing at different levels and hand holding by the incubators, by the what you call at the regional level, at the state level. These type of activities has to really come forward and started like you have organized this typically on the around the SDGs, and then how the startups can be start sensitizing and how the startups start learning. This is the like the steps forward for adopting this. And there is a profit, there is a benefit, not in the monetary side, as an overall on the society side, as in
Absolutely, sir.
saving this nature side also.
Absolutely. And like you talked, sir, I mean, the ecosystem, the funding scenario is also just right for, like Arpita ji also mentioned. So I think it's time for more and more people to come forward. And with this, I think I would like to also introduce a very special concept that one of our startups incubators have come up with. It's, we can call it a formal launch event, but yeah, this is what they have come up with, sir. They are Alterature. So this stands for alternate furniture, and they have come up with furniture with recycled plastic. Very interesting concept, and they have just launched. So I strongly urge all of you to visit alterature.com and sort of browse through their products. Two young entrepreneurs and very conscious about the environment. So it's really encouraging, like I said, to see young people coming forward, because believe it or not, I believe we are the last generation who can actually do something about it. And because after
Absolutely.
this, it's going to be worse. Right, Arpita ji, you can talk a lot more about the consequences if you want. I mean, if things don't.
Right. I think, yeah, I think COVID has been, a great eye opener for most people.
Exactly.
And like I said earlier, because there's so much additional streams of waste that are being generated because of COVID, and don't have a choice there. So the only choice we have is to change our lifestyles. And about your question earlier about the input output ratio, I feel that there is where the market on the whole is ready for an overhaul across streams. So in
Right.
that particular scenario, I think anyway there is investment change in investment that is happening and will continue to happen for a long period of time, where people are investing more and more in ESG, and like Rajiv ji also mentioned, UN SDG related work that is happening, because it is much required, and also the focus has shifted, whether we like it or not. And for us, great. For everybody who's working in the space related to sustainability, I think it's a great time to be there, and therefore investments will be larger, and it will, hopefully it will happen, the overturn will happen, and we will go on the righter path.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Arpita ji, Rajiv sir. I think it was a very engaging discussion that we had around UN SDGs, and I'm sure our audience would have gained a lot in terms of the various nuances that are involved. Since we talked a lot about the policies, the frameworks, and the scenario altogether around sustainable development. And stay tuned, and the next session would be taken by some of our incubatees from cohort 1 and 2. So we hope to see you again, and thank you so much for making your time today, both of you, and lovely speaking with you. Any comments that you have as closing? Would love to hear those too.
Honored
Thank
to
you.
be a part of this, and thank you for organizing this. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
AIC
everyone.
RMP, for all this. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Namaste.